Hello, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. We're recording on Thanksgiving Day, and I'm in America. It is a heck of a day. I'm stuffed to the gills with food and pie. How are you doing up there in Canada, Rick? I know you've already experienced your Thanksgiving, but
Yeah, it's just like a Thursday, just I had to work. It's
oh, you don't even get the American day off. Well, I guess we don't get your.
I told you my theory though. Like Canada and America should celebrate both as
1,000%.
as like a form of unity between the nations. Like they will each celebrate each other's Thanksgiving, and like then you get two Thanksgivings, and everyone's happy. No one can be like that upset if you're like eating pie.
Exactly. You can't beat that. Well, just real quick. Just real quick. I'm just gonna say one thing. Told you it was work. Yeah. That's all.
Oh,
okay.
If only we had something to talk about. Like if only something happened, it's interesting to talk about. It's a shame that nothing happened between now and Dynamite. Just nothing at all.
Not one single thing happened. Speaking of, in the greatest first night as AEW heavyweight champion, the greatest move, MJF. He ain't at the arena. Sends Regal. Oh my goodness! Sends Regal to the ring for him. I thought it was the greatest move.
Yeah, that was fun. It was like and you knew he would have got cheered if he had been there. So this is like a nice heel move. They want him to be a heel, so him not showing up is great.
It's great, and he is obviously gonna be like every week. Mox was there. Mox was on every show.
Right.
Mox was open challenge. I don't care. You throw him at me, I'll knock him down. MJF, like, we might not see MJF till Christmas.
I think it's great. I love it.
I love it. Regal says we will get all our answers next week. I do not believe one word of that.
No, I think there'll be zero answers. I don't think they're ever answering why Regal did what I don't think they're ever going to answer it. And not because they don't have an answer, just that's the answer MJF isn't going to tell us.
That's exact. Yes, that there doesn't need to be an answer. Oh, well, of course, that got under Mox's skin a little bit, and he shows up to the ring through the crowd, which I thought was hilarious too. Like even when he's mad, he comes to the crowd
with theme music.
With theme music, yes. He was so mad he made sure they hit his music. And Bryan Danielson, who came flying out of the ramp about 4,000 miles an hour, and goes in between Moxley and Regal, and he kind of tries to calm it down. It really doesn't work, but he saves Regal, which I thought was a really cool move. It kind of blurred the lines.
Yeah, and I liked it because he went into like, this is the person who like helped me and taught me to appreciate my dad. And what I wanted to happen was when he was just like, oh, what if your daughter, what if he taught your daughter how to love you? I really wanted Mox to be like, my daughter does love me, and then just like punch him.
Yeah,
I was hoping that would happen, but the way they did it was still good.
Yeah, it was done really well. Regal played it up, kept the awesome smug look on his face. But then Mox, he let Danielson kind of say what he had to say, and I don't want to say he overlooked it, but he did actually calm himself down. And he got right up in Regal's face, and he just told him to turn around and start walking and don't stop.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
I like that a lot. Because he's not, and this, like, I think this has now turned into Mox isn't going to care about the belt. He's going to want Regal, and MJF just is going to happen to stand in his way.
Yeah, I was wondering, what do you think this is the end of Regal as an on-screen character, or is he just gone for a little bit and he'll be back later?
I think he's going to just kind of hang around MJF. Like, I just don't think he's going to use the mic.
Yeah. I was thinking when it first happened, I thought, oh, maybe his talent agreement ran out, and he's like either going to go backstage or he's going to leave the company or he's going to retire. But I don't know. I don't know if like this is writing him off or if this is just because Mox basically told him, I don't ever want to see you again. If I see you again, I'm killing you. So like, is he going to show back up again, or is he gonna, I don't know. I'm That's curious. True. I honestly don't know.
Again, we don't know, and it's very fun.
Yes.
And they kind of just left the segment hang after that, which again I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like Regal walking away and Mox throwing the mic down and then Excalibur explaining to us what we just watched. Like no, they let it breathe.
Yeah.
And they didn't even go to the announce team. They went right to Renee, who was a staple of this television show.
Yes.
If you noticed, like she was it on this show. She was everywhere. She was backstage with Keith Lee, and she asked him, if Swerve has something to say, do you want to even hear it, basically? And he was like, I'll listen. And Swerve shows up, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
Puts his hand over the camera so you kind of don't see what's going on, and obviously the mics are on. And he says, and Keith Lee says something like, "Oh, without those, okay." So my question is: he going to turn Keith Lee to the dark side?
I think he's going to try. I think that's why he wants to talk to him off camera. He wants to try to convince him of something or talk to him about something. I don't know if it's going to work. I feel like it's not going to work because I think there is going to be a Swerve Keith Lee feud. But I think he's going to try. And I really liked Regal not explaining what happened. I really liked there being nothing explained here because these are two things that we both really want to know.
Right.
So not telling us right away helps. Like then you just want to know more. Like you want to know what Swerve said to Keith Lee once the camera turned off. So I thought I love this, and I think their feud is going to be incredible.
Oh, I know it's the end of the year, and I know the feud is not going to be over, but we could say it could end this year being feud of the year, or go into next year and be so good that it might be over before June, but it could get feud of the year for next year.
Yeah,
because it's going to be that good.
Like Swerve is. And their characters work so well with you because Swerve is kind of smarmy and full of himself. And, and Keith Lee is the complete opposite. He's like a stand-up guy who's pretty calm and doesn't freak out. And their characters work so well against each other. And they're both, especially Swerve, they're both really creative people. I think they could come up with some really, really cool stuff to do. And absolutely. It's going to be good.
It's I can't even talk.
That's also shout out to Keith Lee for saying this is all malarkey during the Road to special.
Yes, that was incredible. And it was it took you a minute to be did he probably uses it. So that wasn't him taking a stab at himself. He probably was he brought it to malarkey.
Yeah, I feel like that's how he talks. He's just
he was so mad. he
had to throw to malarkey.
Yeah, it's like when Ned Flanders got mad at Homer the one time, and I think he said malarkey. Did he not?
Yeah, I don't know. He said it was a lot of diddlies, but yeah, I like it. It was good.
I love it. So good. All Atlantic Championship was next on our menu. See what I did there? Sick.
Very good. Thanksgiving theme.
Yeah. And let's thank the maker for Jake Hager. Because him and Orange Cassidy literally put on a show, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, Jake Hager, I've never really cared about Jake Hager, but they gave him a hat, and now I love it. Now I think it's amazing.
The fact that they wrestled a match and worked in a guy fighting to put his hands in his pockets and a guy trying to stop it, and the guy trying to stop it, you can't touch his hat because it wigs him out, and it working and putting real wrestling in between there.
And it was for a title.
Yeah. And it was for a title. It was
Jim Cornette
magical.
just like smashed every TV that he could think of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, what would they have done back in the day?
The hat thing is hilarious. The fact that he loves it's great. It's like it's not gonna make me like want him to like win a championship, but it makes me like interested in seeing him on TV. Like in the past, like I had no interest in seeing him really, but like now he's at least interesting enough that like his hat is funny.
And I was like dead to the world serious. I was thinking when I was watching him come to the ring, I really hope he wears it to his MMA fight. Seriously. Just is to like it's part of the gimmick, man. I really
gotta wear the hat.
Gotta wear the hat. And again, going back to the hat, Hager has an ankle lock. It's in, man. It's in deep. And what does Orange have to do? He just takes his hat off, throws it in the ring. About 6 feet away. Jake had to calm himself down.
And I like the announcers seriously discussing, like, should he just stop caring about the hat and focus on the match? Like, yes. I really think he should just focus on the match and not the hat. And Taz is there being like, no, he really likes the hat. He needs it. Yeah, he's gotta wear it.
Yeah, they put that hat over so well. It was so great.
It's something that's so dumb, but it's funny. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like it would be like a gag on The Simpsons.
Yeah. It does feel like mid 90s, like late 90s wrestling where like his gimmick he wears a hat. Like it's I like it.
Yeah, I love it. It's
and I like that it fell off once and Daniel Garcia gave it back. Like when Daniel Garcia is the one who rejected the hat in the first place and didn't care about it, but now that Jake Hager likes it, now he's gonna treat it well too.
Gotta respect the hat. My question is, do they? Not with Orange Cassidy, but with someone else. Like, does the hat get put on the line?
I mean, something has to happen to the hat. You don't introduce the hat, like, and then not have anything bad happen to it. Like one day, someone's gonna steal the hat, or like step on the hat, or something's gonna happen to it, and it's gonna like set him off.
Which I texted you, Nyla, where are you at?
Yeah,
Nyla Rhodes needs to steal the hat.
Nyla stealing the hat would be amazing.
It would be the greatest thing.
And just like all of them wear, like she'll wear it, and then Vicky will wear it.
Just let everyone see. Nyla needs like another great gimmick. Just Nyla stealing stuff all the time would be.
But like stealing, like and make the stuff that she steals like increasingly less important. Like she stole a title, and then it's just then she just takes someone's like shirt, like it's just a shirt, like their merchandise shirt, like it's not even important. Just like takes that.
Like phone charger or like Tony Schiavone's pen or something.
Yeah. Like, yes, and they just get really mad at her because like she took something from them, so they're mad. But like it's like a pen, so who cares? She could take what's his name.
Sanjay's pencil?
Sanjay's pencil.
That would be incredible. Orange Cassidy got the clean win.
Yes.
Which, I mean, we saw that coming.
Makes sense.
Makes total sense. But I mean, it made sense in the grand scheme of things. But as soon as the match ended, the QT Marshall's group, I forget what they're called. Factory. There you go. Factory's coming to the ring, and QT's like, he's trying to get the mic to work. Like, played it off really well. Yeah. And then the mic comes on, and he cuts. I don't know. It was maybe 5 seconds, and then the mic cut off again.
Yeah.
Done really well, and then the screens go out, and then the lights go out.
Yes.
I did not expect this. What was your feeling like when the lights were out?
When the lights went out, I thought it was evil Danhausen. I thought it was going to be evil Danhausen come out and do something silly.
Yes. That's when you were texting about that. That's right. I did not expect the House of Black, but no. What a return.
Yes.
My God.
Speaking of like, Julia has a hat. Can they do a thing with the hat? Julia's giant hat. And
Julia's giant hat.
Jake Hager's hat.
Yeah.
They take his hat, they dye it black. They can do that.
That would be great. That would be wonderful. Just the return it proved how over House of Black is.
Yeah, and they looked like it was a good return. Like they immediately looked really strong. They immediately looked like where do you think this is going with them feuding with either of these teams, or was this just they wanted to have them destroy people, so do it now?
I just think it was like to make a statement. I think they're going to be after this six man after this trios tournament is over between the Elite and Death Triangle. I think they're going to be the number one front runners for the.
Yeah, I agree. I think they might have them like beat up Best Friends or something, like Best Friends and Orange Cassidy for a while, just because there's this Best of 7 going on, so they need to do something. So they might just like beat people up for a while. I don't know, but I'm happy they're back.
Yes, and this could totally be just me. They also, all of them, Julia included, looked very rejuvenated. Like the time off, like kind of they were excited last night. Like you could just tell. Yeah. It was very, very cool.
Yeah, I really hope they do a lot with them because I like the whole group. So
yes,
I really hope they do a lot with them.
Oh,
and I feel like they will, because I mean, we all know the story. Malachi at least wanted to leave, and Tony Khan basically talked him out of it. And I'm sure he didn't talk him out of it and be like, "Oh yeah, I have no plans for you." You like, I'm sure he has something planned.
Yes.
So,
and well, we can't end it before we say all Malachi says was he grabs the mic and he says, "Members of the House of Black, please rise." And everybody stood up. What a moment.
Yeah, I thought the only thing I thought would have been cooler is a lot of people were already standing up.
No, that's true.
So you didn't get the, like, some people did stand up, like the whole arena ended up standing, but I feel like half the arena was already standing.
Good point.
I thought it would have been cooler, and they couldn't control this obviously, but I thought it would have been cooler if everybody was sitting and then all stood up. But yeah.
And then he gets 12,000 or however many people to stand.
Right.
It
was still cool. I like that moment.
It was a moment. And then you go right to commercial. I thought it was brilliant. Speaking of, and I've been meaning to say this for a couple weeks, have you noticed their timing on commercials has been better? To the point I feel like it has. Annoying.
Yeah, it definitely has.
Like they seem to be taking, like, they'll do like a picture-in-picture or two, and then we'll just get like an actual commercial break at like 8:40 instead of all pictures and pictures and putting all the commercial breaks at the end.
Right. And they used to go to, and they don't do it as much anymore. They used to go to commercial where, like, I forget exact moments, but they'd be like, "Oh, he's knocked out of the ring. We're getting to a 10 count. Yes. He could be counted out. We'll be right back." Like, why would you take the break then? Like, and they were getting better at that. I don't know if it just experience or what, but they're getting better.
Yeah, like the timing has been better, and it's not noticeable, which is a good thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's but when we come back from commercial break, it was the world title eliminator final between Ethan Page and Ricky Starks. These guys shined in the spotlight last night.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really good match. I felt like it was not ruined, but it was slightly less dramatic because we kind of knew who was going to win.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially because MJF was champion and they like delayed the entire tournament so that Ricky Starks could.
Right.
But it was still a good match, and they still both did a great job.
Oh yeah, like I said, they both shined on the spotlight and on the big time. Ricky Starks selling the ribs from his entrance, which I thought was super cool, super old school, and Ethan Page from the get-go just attacking the ribs. I thought it was just old school, like, fun. Like, if you know you have a weakness, why wouldn't you just continue to
it was really old school. And like I said, I think last week or on the most recent episode, I didn't think that Ricky Starks could be like a good, like, underdog babyface. I always just pictured him as being like the cocky heel, but he's doing a really good job of being the underdog, like fights for himself, stands up no matter what he's faced with, overcoming the odds type guy. And I didn't think that his character had that in it, and it seems to. So good for him.
Oh yeah, I mean he's pulling this off, and when we get to the end here, I have a theory on what's going to happen. But again, old school. Stokely, the manager, gets tossed. Crowd went bananas. I love that the crowds are going nuts for this, because the more managers, the better. Managers are fun.
And speaking of the crowd, like everyone always complains, oh, why did they go to Chicago so much? Like whenever you go to Chicago, they're like, oh, that's why. Like their crowds are really like they go nuts for everything. Like that's exactly why they go to Chicago, even though they've been there, 4 times or whatever. Like they're excited every single time. So why would you not go back? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
keep selling out. The crowd's cheering, the crowd's engaged. Like we'll talk about this more later, but I remember a couple, I think last podcast, I said sometimes the crowd just has to go with the story that they're being told.
Yeah.
And the Chicago crowd usually does that. Like they go a lot, like, oh, we're supposed to react a lot when this happens, or like we're supposed to hate Stokely, so like we're gonna hate it. Like so they follow along like what they're supposed to do, but they're loud. They're not just like clapping. They're yelling. It's great.
Oh, it was the crowd in Chicago is 1,000% part of the show every time. Like they're up there with Philly. I don't give Philly a lot of credit, but Philly wrestling crowds are usually on point too.
Yeah. So they do go to the northeast of US a lot. Like I get that they do, but those crowds are also super hot all the time.
Yes.
So you can't really blame them.
Just if you come back to Pittsburgh again, don't come back to the Peterson, or else I'll be watching my living room again. Because that place sucks. Oh, the building is awesome. Oakland sucks. Anyways, Stokely gets thrown out. Took 3 spears to take down Ethan Page, which great booking, because Ethan lost nothing by losing this match.
Right.
He looked very strong.
Yeah.
And 3 spears. Ricky gets the clean 1-2-3 pin. It's MJF versus Starks at Winter's Coming. And here's my theory. Starks is going to have MJF lined up for the win. Ethan Page comes to save MJF's ass.
Okay. I like that. I was wondering what they were going to do with Ethan Page post tournament. So I like that.
He's gonna be like not his like right hand man all the time, like just at this match.
Yeah, he could put the firm back on retainer, right? He could rehire them.
But Ethan's gonna hold that over MJF's head, so Ethan's gonna be like the gray area. Like Ricky's gonna be the full blown baby face, MJF's gonna be the full blown heel, but Ethan Page is gonna hold one over.
I like that
on MJF and be like, hey, you wouldn't have been too much of a champion if it wasn't for me. So just saying.
Yeah, and that gives him a good potential feud with Ethan Page one day too. So I like it.
Yeah,
and I hope this is the start of both of them being both. By both, I mean Ricky Starks and Ethan Page in like main event level roles, because they're both great and they should both be there.
That the match they put on was phenomenal. That's the way a world title eliminator should have ended. It had the baby face with the deck stacked against him, and it had the heel that looked like he had everything in line to just walk right in and walk right out.
Yeah.
And Ricky overcame it was just great.
It was great stuff.
Yes, it was. Next, we had the announcement for the Baddie celebration by Jade. And our first of many coming up. This was our very first wink and nod directly to the camera. Kiera Hogan was served her papers for being fired live on television.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure WWE did that to a certain person on their wedding day.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the problem. Here's the big controversy of the show. No other ones. This is the big controversy of the show. Yes. why was Kira Hogan fired and the interim baddie just gets to stay around?
Right.
That doesn't seem fair. She's Layla Gray is interim baddie. Why is she suddenly upgraded to full-time baddie? When did that happen? Exactly. And why is Kira Hogan taking the fall when she already was full-time baddie? If anyone, you should blame the interim baddie. She has less experience. When you're laying people off, you choose the people with the less experience, not the more experienced baddie. Come on.
Exactly.
Bad management by Jade.
Well, I mean, Layla was so ineffective, you had to Google her name. Because neither of us knew who she was.
Yeah, I remember thinking, like, why did they not lay off the interim baddie? Who is the interim baddie again?
Yeah, we literally forgot her name. So, yeah. I mean, we knew Kira's.
And I guess it makes sense. That's why Layla Gray stays, because nobody knows who she is. So, like, it makes sense for her to be in a group. Whereas,
that does.
Yeah, but
yeah, perfect. It was good though.
I was hoping Jade would just fire all the baddies because I don't think she needs them.
Me too, and I agree.
I was hoping she would just. I like that they brought Smart Mark back. Like, he's still her lawyer. Like, that was fun.
That was the greatest callback ever, because he was just like right there for in a second. He's like, oh, I was walking by.
But I kind of wish she had just fired all of them because she doesn't need them anymore. But that's okay.
Well, it's just like you said though. They need her.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, Jade is money right now.
Yeah.
And the whole Bow Wow thing, I love that. Like, they showed. I think I brought it up to you. You were like, we were talking back and forth about the CM Punk thing and how, it was literally, if it was fake, I mean, if it was real, it was just a fight, which happens in locker rooms in every sport, probably all the time.
Right.
And you get over it. It's like I think you said something like, it's, not like anybody killed anybody or insulted anybody's mother or something. You just said a few things you regretted, fists were okay, you shake hands, you're over it.
Right.
And then, of course, that led to the big suspension, this, that, and the other, and it's this big deal in AEW. Yet they show a clip of Jade infiltrating this guy's concert and getting in a fight with him backstage, and then the announce team blaming him, which I thought was amazing.
I wonder what's going to happen with this, because Bow Wow is not going to have a match with Jade.
No.
So where is this going? I'm fine with it. I'm not again. I wonder where it's going.
I have no idea.
Unless he picks someone, maybe he has a friend, or maybe he'll introduce some other celebrity to fight Jade.
Well, I guess he can wrestle, or he trained a little bit or something.
Yeah, I think he was training a little bit.
Yeah, have him come in as a manager, but not a lot of people know that he can wrestle, and just have Jade destroy whoever he has, and then bring him in and just whoop him.
Yeah, okay, I could do that. I could see that.
Yeah, and then it's Jade he was said you couldn't even bring me in a viable opponent, so I'll just beat you. I don't know.
I also really like that Jade started her wrestling career as Shaq's partner. They just put her with a celebrity, and now she's the one calling out celebrities. I think it's cool.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I still say she knows what happened to Shaq when he disappeared from that ambulance, and she's not telling us. And someone's got to get to the bottom of that.
Well, I was going to say, I think Cody's the one that knows. That's why he had to leave the company.
He has a secret. He had to take it with him.
Yeah, he had to go to WWE for a few years. I mean,
lie low back, so that nobody tries to bring this out of him.
If he ever comes back, maybe we'll find out what happened to Shaq. Which, just saying, because Tony Khan has a sense of humor, and it would be hilarious. Just saying, 5 years, if Cody comes back, they should have a match where Shaq comes out of an ambulance, all dusty, and just punches Cody and then just walks away.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, Tony Khan, do that. That'd be amazing. Moving on, we had match number 2 of the Best of 7 series, which I thought was weird. I thought the Best of 7 series was starting this week, but apparently
no, they retroactively counted the first one.
Yes. Yeah,
it's a little odd.
It was a little weird. They should have explained that to us. I did not realize that. But match 2 was on Dynamite. The Death Triangle versus the Elite. We had Don Callis on commentary, and Kenny and Ray started the match. Now,
just a regular run-of-the-mill match.
Regular run-of-the-mill match. We were talking about winks and nods, and this one had a lot.
Yeah, it started off with winks and nods, and then eventually it was like bringing out a sign being like, this is a reference to CM Punk. Pay attention to this reference. We are making a reference to him now.
Yes.
They could not have been more blatant than if they had just like spray painted his name on the ring and then like stopped on it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Most over the top references I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, we did get our wish. We did get to watch somebody get picked.
Yes. I really wish they had had a dog and Kenny just ran like a random dog, like dog that's not associated, like not that he's not involved in this whatsoever. And like Kenny just like suddenly, I have to save the dog, and just we didn't even know there was a dog.
Right.
Right. And it would be good if it was like a really big dog, like a German Shepherd or something, like a dog that clearly does not need saving. Kenny just comes and picks up this dog, like, I have to save it, just runs off with the dog.
It was so good. Everything about it was good.
I have many thoughts, so you can do yours first.
I mean, the match itself was fantastic. We're going to get to the match. I cannot wait for BTE because Matt and Nick were all in Brandon's face.
Yeah.
And talking with the crowd, and God only knows how far they're going to take this storyline on BTE, because it looked like it was going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to straight out say it. That proved the point that it was a work to me.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm just going to play the other side, just to play the other side. What I've heard is a lot of people are saying, someone did say, it was a good point, it might have been Sean Ross Sapp, that anything that happened yesterday, it just reinforced whatever you believed about this to begin with. So if you believe it's a work, this is a sign that shows you that it's a work. If this is all real, this is basic. What I heard people saying is this is like the Young Bucks like celebration, like we kicked him out of the company and now we can just be total jerks because he's gone. And they were. I mean, if all of this is real, it's like if you believe just like everything at face value, if all of this is real, they were the biggest jerks they could have possibly been.
1,000%.
Unbelievably like over the top. And if it's real, like I'm just gonna, everything I'm saying, I'm just gonna say all of this is real and all the stories we've heard is real, for the sake of argument. If it is, Kenny and the Bucks reminded me. Do you remember when Bret left 97 and then Shawn Michaels had a guy come out in like a Bret Hart costume and just beat him up? It reminded me of that. Like just there's no reason for like if it's all real and Punk's gone. There's no reason for this. Like, there's no reason for Shawn Michaels to like bring out a guy and like beat him up and like laugh and put him in the sharpshooter while he's wearing a Bret Hart mask. And like, there's no reason for it whatsoever other than just gloating and being full of yourself. So if it's all real, they're acting like 1997 Shawn Michaels, which is everything we know about people's personalities. The one guy you should not emulate behavior-wise is 1997 Shawn Michaels. Wrestling-wise, sure. But personality-wise, you should not be trying to be 97 Shawn Michaels. He was an awful person.
Correct.
And if everything we've heard, everything we saw was real again, and you take all the reports at face value that Punk was offended by them being childish and that they're working on a buyout to him for him to leave the company, but they have some, issues they have to go. Like, if that's the case, that buyout agreement is over. Like, he's not gonna, like, if it's real, he's not gonna speak to them. He has no interest. Like, that ruined all of that. Like when Cody left, there was a couple like winks and nods to Cody here and there, but they weren't like, by the way, we hate Cody. Like, it wasn't like, it wasn't over the top like that. So if Punk is actually gone and this is their way of like celebrating, then like, he was definitely right that they're like
Oh yeah.
They're childish and can't be trusted to run a company because like that's true. And whatever potential buyout negotiations they might have are ruined. And if this happened without Tony Khan okaying it, then Tony Khan can't control them. And if it happened with Tony Khan okaying it, like he made a bad decision. Like if all of this is real, that was horrible. Right?
Yes.
Which is why it makes me think that it's a storyline.
Right. Like 100%.
Because it was so over the top. If they done little things like at the beginning, before Kenny jumped out of the ring once he did the little go to sleep hand motion thing.
Yeah.
If they had just done that, I'd be like, okay, they're making some little winks and nods to play heels in Chicago to get people to boo them. But because they like went so over the top with the biting and the GTS and if this is not a storyline, and at what point it becomes a storyline will be up for debate.
Right.
But if this is not a storyline, they're terrible people. and Tony Khan is terrible for allowing it to happen. Like if all of this is real, this is the worst possible way to handle this situation. Like I said, you don't emulate Shawn Michaels in 1997. Like he was wrong. And
yes. Yeah. So, I mean, I just nothing to say back except
so it has to be at some point, whether it was all a storyline or they settled things, a month ago and it became a storyline. It has to be. It's too ridiculous and too over the top. Like when Punk was like cursing them out at the press conference, and both of us said, "Oh, if he was cursing them at the press conference, like at some point Tony Khan would step in and be like, okay, let's move on."
Yes,
like, it would make sense for him to do that, but he just let it go. Like if they were going to do this whole thing and it wasn't planned and it wasn't a storyline, like at some point someone would be like, "Okay, guys, stop." Like that's too much. So it has to be. Like it has to be. Or everything everybody said about them and Tony Khan is true. Like they're bad people and they're childish and Tony Khan can't control them. So either way, but I think it's a storyline.
Well, obviously that's where I stand too. And you sent the greatest text right after all that went down. And again, we're gonna get back to the match here in a minute. Your text was, "Oh my God, I cannot wait for the Omega Punk feud."
Yeah, I mean,
they sold it already.
And because that's another thing. If this is not real, like if this is all real, I mean, and Punk is gone, and there is no Omega Punk feud, like they're just setting us up for disappointment at this point,
right?
Like now, if CM Punk doesn't come back, like people are going to be disappointed. Like where everyone's expecting him to come back now.
Now, I mean, that match will sell out any place.
Yeah.
Does that match even take place in the United States? That's my next question.
I mean, depends on what you want to sell out. I mean, like if they go to England, say, and they want to sell out a stadium, I mean, that's how you do it.
I was thinking Japan because Kenny in Japan.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Like at the Tokyo Dome, 90,000 people.
Yeah. I just want to shout out. We talked about how we never mentioned anybody's names.
Yes.
On Mastodon, I've been talking on Mastodon. We follow us there.
Yes, please.
It was Nick Tilwalk, I believe it is. I mean, if I'm getting it wrong, sorry. I tweeted, so is CM Punk is coming back based on, and he wrote, "We've seemingly gone from it would be crazy if he did to now it would be crazy if he didn't." And I believe that. Like before it seemed like, oh yeah, he's never coming back. Wouldn't it be insane if CM Punk came back? To now the expectation is there, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's going to be another, again, I hope he just comes back. Like, I don't want there to be next week we hear from CM Punk.
Right.
I literally want the Bucks to be doing that again, even if it's during another one of these matches.
Yeah.
And then you just hear banana, and the place just go bananas when they're just being jerks. And
I really want to know. I really want to see what they do going forward. Like, was this just for Chicago to like be heels in Chicago, and they're not going to mention it for a while now, or is this going to be a thing that they do on a regular basis?
It's too on the nose now. Now you're going to get it. And it's going to be on BTE. It's going to be on, like, I bet you they have like FCM Punk gear. before this is all over, or they'll wear Chicago-based gear sometime. Like yeah.
I mean, people pointed out if this goes 7, which it's going 7, it's
100% it's going 7.
The 7th match is in California.
Okay.
If there was ever a time for Punk to come back and screw the Bucks out of a win, wouldn't it be in their hometown?
That works for me.
So I don't know. But then he wouldn't get a pop. Like, I feel like if it happened they wouldn't be the heels in California.
That's true.
Like, they're going to get cheered in California. But if you want him to be the bad guy,
heel, yeah, like it makes sense. Anyways, we had a match.
Yes. I like because this match was different enough. Like, it wasn't a comedy match, but it was jokier. Not just the CM Punk stuff. Like, the match itself was just kind of jokier. Like, it wasn't as serious as the first match. And you have to change up the matches because they're going to do 7 of them. So. Yes.
And I noticed this just proved how well these guys can wrestle, because this match was obviously, they're all not going to be barn burners. It was much safer.
Yeah.
But it was entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, for everything I said about the Bucks in terms of, like, it's basically similar to Shawn Michaels. Like,
great.
Shawn Michaels in 1997 was a jerk, but he was really good in the ring. So, like, I wanted to watch him wrestle. So even if the Bucks are childish and jerks, like, they know what they're doing when they're wrestling. They do a good job. So all 6 of these guys knew, you're right, we don't have to jump through, each other as much and do as many crazy high spots, because we just did that 4 days ago and we're going to do it again in a week. So
yeah. And everybody knew that the where the real spotlight was, and it was on CM Punk in this match.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, everybody knew it. Like,
yeah,
come on. It's their first wrestling match. Well, second wrestling match back. And it's in Chicago. Come on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you knew something. Everyone knew something was going to happen. I did not think it would be this. I thought they would make some references. I thought there'd be like when he did the buckshot and fell down. Like, I thought that would be it. They would do that, and that would be like the wink and nod. Haha, we remember CM Punk. Yeah. But that would be it. I didn't think they'd do as much as they did, which just, like, it has to be part of something. Like, it's too much for it not to be part of something.
It is. Guaranteed it is.
Because if it's not something, it reminded me of, like, when Punk first showed up, when Darby Allin was like, I want to take on the best in the world, and they book a show in Chicago, and, like, what if it was not CM Punk? like it was just another wrestler who he thought was good.
Right. Yeah.
Like, the best in the world is Kenny Omega, isn't he? And they just have a match, and people are like, yeah, it's a good match, but we had expectations here.
Right. Like, yeah. We thought your hint went the other way.
So at this point, it's too much of a hint, but, like, you don't.
Yes.
It would be really bad business wise to hint this much and then not have it happen.
I just thought of something. Where's Winters coming?
Texas, I think.
Wonder if anything in Punk's career has ever transpired in a Texas arena, because he likes history.
Yeah.
And Winters coming has a history of debuts.
Yes.
Or returns.
And I did realize how much now this is echoing Montreal.
Oh, yeah.
With Punk in the role of Brett and the Bucks in the role of Shawn Michaels.
Shawn.
And yeah, it really is. They in storyline or in real life, whatever, they chased him out, and now they're celebrating him being gone and just being jerks about it. And yeah.
And the night that they returned was, believe it or not, the 25-year anniversary of the Vince McMahon Screwed Brett promo.
Yes.
Which, come on.
Yeah.
Punk knows history and loves his wrestling history.
Yeah.
Come on.
I also really liked, going back to the match, I really liked the finish where they had the hammer, and then Penta's just like, I have another hammer.
Yes. Well, that's what I'm going to ask you. Like, are we going to start to see some dissension in Death Triangle?
I feel like that might cost them at the end. Like, I think that might be what cost them the final match, is some dissension with them. And I don't know. I don't think they'll break up, but I think it'll be another, someone wants to cheat and Rey Fenix doesn't want to let them cheat. It'll be something like that.
Right.
Because he was upset about it again. It's funny that he's the only face. Like all the rest of them are heels. And Rey Fenix is just like, no, guys, we're supposed to have a fair, equal wrestling match. It's supposed to be an athletic contest. What is happening?
Right. And I don't know, like, have they announced, like, are there any gimmick matches in this?
They haven't said.
Okay, because I'm wondering if, this is just me thinking out loud here, wonder if match 7 will be like in a cage or a ladder match.
Yeah, I feel like match 7 they'll do a ladder match or something for.
Yeah, like that just kind of hit me right now, but
that makes sense. Do you think the Bucks go down 3-0? Like, did they lose the next one too?
And then they got to win 4 in a row?
Yeah.
Well, Tony Khan does like sports, and like, yeah, everybody that watches sports knows in the best of 7, if you go up 3-0, it's pretty much over.
Right.
Even if it goes 7,
right,
you pretty much win. So, I mean, it would be very interesting if they made it go 3-0. And then I still say there's a chance for a sweep, but they're not going to have it. It's like very low.
Especially, not only is it wrestling, and the 7 series never goes, a series never gets swept. Like exactly. a best 2 to 3 falls match never ends in 2 falls. Right. But especially because the last match is supposed to be in California. There's no way that they say, 100%. Hey, we're going to have the 7th match of this in California and then not do it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But like, there's still that weird chance that Tony Khan throws a curveball.
Right. Yeah.
But there's no way it's happening. Because like you said, they're already announced for places that they're selling tickets for these matches. Like, I mean, oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, okay, well, we're gonna talk about the bite here real quick. I can't get over that they did this. It was incredible.
There was no way I thought they were gonna do that. None whatsoever.
If you would have told me, you're like, hey, look, I have the script for tonight. I'm working backstage. I'm gonna give you $1,000 if you can guess one thing. I'm just gonna tell you right off the bat, it's absurd, but it's gonna happen during the Bucks and Death Triangle match. If you get it right, I'll give you $1,000. I'd have never said, oh well, Kenny Omega's obviously gonna bite somebody.
And it was like, and if it was gonna happen, I thought it would be like it was again over the top. Like it was, it was holding out his arm and like, I'm gonna stomp my feet while I'm biting. Like it was like it
was like the Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Like it was so over the top.
And it was Kenny, so because if it was the Bucks, you'd be like, well, that's who the Bucks are. Like they're exaggerated and over the top and jerks. Like that's it. But like because half this stuff was like the go to sleep was Kenny, the bite was Kenny. That made me think even more so it's part of a storyline because Kenny doesn't do stuff like that's not how he wrestles. He's not like over the top jokey when he wrestles.
Right, and then Taz sold it. He's like, hey, sometimes when you're in a fight, you bite a guy.
Yeah, I think it was Tony Schiavone who was like, who bites somebody in a fight? First of all, Jon Moxley bites somebody in every fight. So I don't know why you're surprised by this. But like, we know what the reference was, that it was like, but I just love that who bites somebody? And Taz is like, sometimes he bites people. That's what happens. It happens in a fight.
Sometimes you bite a guy. If this was in any other situation, I would have been complaining like it would have ruined the match.
Right.
I think it added the levels to this match. It added so much to it. Personally.
Especially because it was, the second match of a best of 7.
Yeah.
So like this match didn't have to be amazing and it's fine.
Correct.
Like if this had been the final match and they did this, then you'd be like, they ruined the match. Like I was expecting a really good match and I got basically comedy.
Yes,
but it was match 2 and we just seen match 1. So like and the crowd was important. Like the crowd was into it. Like the crowd made it a thing.
Yes, and that was totally another thing too. Them playing the crowd and the crowd biting added tenfold.
And like half the time the crowd was like. There was some pro elite chants. There was a lot of anti elite chants. There was some anti CM Punk chants even. But half the time the crowd was just like yelling, like you couldn't tell what they were saying. It was just like this like audible, just like people just yelling stuff. It wasn't a chant. It was not like anyone getting to, it was just random people and the crowd was all just yelling things. It was just noise.
Yeah, that's the perfect. Yes, it was literally just noise. It was
because individual people were all just yelling their own stuff.
Yes. As we said, Death Triangle goes up 2-0. It's obviously going 7. Do the Bucks cheat?
Yeah, probably. I think they're going to be the heels. I think they want to be the heels, like not just how it acted tonight, like not just what happened on Dynamite. I mean, I think they want to be the heels. I think they're better as heels. Like people like them, people cheer for them. I think they're going to be the heels that like they're obnoxious and everyone boos them, but they have good matches. So during the match, you'll cheer for them because they do cool stuff, but you'll boo them afterwards because you're like, oh yeah, I hate those guys.
Yeah. Oh, I remember why I don't like them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they work best that way. Like they work best being like obnoxious heels.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
So yeah, I could see them cheating. I could see them doing something to like taint it a little bit.
Yeah. But we have to wait until Dynamite next week for match number 3.
Yes.
It'll be fun. I think we're gonna be. I think match 3 is a little more. Well, it's obviously gonna be way more serious, but I think it's gonna be a little more of what we expect. It's not gonna be like they're not gonna go 100%. Lucha Brothers or Death Triangle versus the Elite, but I bet we're gonna get like a 60%.
Yeah,
there's still gonna be some high spots, but it's gonna be more of a their type of match.
Yeah, and I think one of the matches is gonna just be like a brawl, just because they have to do something. They have to do something different. Like they can't just do the same match 7 times. So.
Oh yeah, I bet maybe going into the point where someone can start to clinch. Maybe that's when we'll get like the gimmick matches, like Falls Count Anywhere.
Right.
Because that'd be fun too.
Because basically this is like just for entertainment purposes, right? Like even in storyline, like Tony Khan just decided this because he wants to see 7 matches. Like there was no actual need for the 7 matches other than the fact that they wanted to do them. So.
Oh yeah, unless this is some like long-term stuff and we're gonna see something in 2 months that we didn't even think about.
Yeah.
But anyways, we had a 3-way tornado tag women's match, which the women's division is fire right now.
Yes.
It was my new favorite team, Willow and Sky Blue.
Yeah, I like them. They're good. I like them. I hope they stay as a team. I like that.
Me too. Great. They work really well together.
Yeah.
Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter.
Before that, big news.
Oh well, that's sure. We're getting there. It's in
all right.
Then Ty Conti versus Anna Jay. Now, as I said before, Renee was all over this show. So, it's kind of a situation that if I was her, I wouldn't want to be in because she basically, they said Thunder Rosa, what you call like, I can't think of the word. She rescinded the title, but that's not the word.
They came to like an agreement, like a negotiation, sort of like
So like Renee basically had to say that we stripped Tony stripped Thunder Rosa the title,
right?
And apparently it's retroactive, and Tony Storm's reign as
which they only announced later, which I'm glad they did announce it later.
Yes,
because at first, when they first announced it, I was like, they first said Jamie Hayter's the full champion. I'm like, so does Tony Storm just not exist? Yeah. But then later they clarified that, which is good.
Wonderful. And now Jamie Hayter is now your current women's champion. So
that's the right move too. I don't know how long Thunder Rosa's out for, but you can't have an interim title for that long.
I agree.
And she can still, whenever she comes back, she can still have a title match. Just now we have a full-time champion.
Absolutely. And that's what I was just going to say. Like, either like her injury was, we're to the point now, it's been about 2 or 3 months, right? 2 months ish. Maybe she was trying to work through it in therapy. Maybe it is something that's going to require surgery and her being out for an extended period.
Yeah, I think once you get to like a 2-3 month term with an interim champion, you kind of have to move on.
Yeah, because like you said, you can't have an interim forever.
Right, especially if there's going to be multiple title changes in there, and then the champion comes back and wins. You're like, all of those title changes didn't count.
Yeah, those were all null and void.
Right.
Ignore the last 7 months.
Right.
So big round of applause for Toni Storm and your new women's champion, Jamie Hayter.
And I love that Britt took the mic to talk about it.
Oh, we're getting, it was beautiful. Because, I mean, this is the next big feud, obviously, in the women's division.
And I really like how they did it because Jamie Hayter started to answer at the same time as Britt. And then Britt was like, no, I answer. What are you doing?
Yeah, no. Yeah, like, come on here. I mean, whenever they split, it's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, is, like, Jamie's obviously the babyface.
Yeah.
Okay. Because someone was talking online, like, what if they turn Britt face? And I was like, I don't think you do that.
No, I don't think, like, Britt's better off as a heel. Like, she's so good as a heel. Like, yes, she could be a face, but why would you make her one when you don't? Especially the women's roster. When you look at the women's roster, right, who's around, you have Toni Storm and, Ruby when she comes back, and, Thunder Rosa when she comes back, and Saraya. They're all faces. Like, they turned Athena heel, but it's because they need more heels. So Britt should be heel too.
Oh, I totally agree. And that's what makes, like, instantly, I mean, obviously Jamie Hayter's the champion, but Britt is such a good heel that Jamie, right off the bat, has the crowd at her back just because she's not Britt. I mean, right. I could walk out.
Right.
Like, oh, wait, that's the guy.
Yeah.
For a second, they'd cheer me just because I wasn't Britt.
Right. And I mean, they're already cheering Jamie Hayter, so.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's just more fuel to her fire.
That would be too much of a stretch to get. They're already booing Britt. They're already cheering Jamie. To try to get people to switch both ways to start booing Jamie and cheering Britt, that's too much.
That's not to be funny, but that's something WWE would do.
Right. Try to flip them when, like, yeah.
Yeah, that's how much sense that makes. WWE would try that. Come on, Rick, did they try it?
And like, for you to be Vince McMahon WWE, like not even like current WWE, like deep in 2018 WWE.
Yeah, like I thought you were going to be able to throw out like.
I'm sure they did. I just can't think of it now. I'm sure they did. I mean, they went for years trying to get people. They went for years trying to get people to cheer Roman Reigns, and then finally just like, that's not happening. Let's just make him a heel. But like literally years, like 5 years of trying to get you to cheer Roman Reigns. So,
well, I was just gonna say John Cena is the absolute opposite of that. People booed him,
but at least he got some cheers. Like he got like
everybody under 12.
Yeah, but like Roman Reigns at like peak when he was supposed to be a face, he was getting decimated with boos, like absolutely destroyed. No one cheered for him, and they were just like, nope, that's the guy, that's the face, put him out there, have him smile. Yeah
Anyways, as I said earlier, the women's division is on fire right now. The quality of work has been through the roof, and I'm all on board. It's great.
It even feels weird to and Brett and Saraya and everyone mentions it, so it's not like we're doing anything wrong. But it's weird that even they mention the women's division because they never mention the men's division. Like no one ever says like, I want to win the men's title of the men's division. Like I think the next step for wrestling as a whole, I think actually Ronda Rousey's mentioned this. The next step for wrestling as a whole is they're just wrestlers, and she wins. If Jamie Hayter wins the world title, you know which one they're talking about.
That's true. Like I never even thought of that.
So you don't need to call it women's world title, or you call the other one the men's world title too.
True. Because like I never thought of that. Like when you said Ronda Rousey, like it's even like that in MMA. It's like you don't say the men's heavyweight title. You say it's heavyweight title. But next in the women's division, the women's title. But I never even thought of that. That's
I mean, it happens in all sports. Like when they
100%.
When they have a, in the Olympics, they have, soccer or hockey, they don't call it, men's soccer, men's hockey. I mean, technically that's the name of it, but no one actually uses that name. But I do feel like that's the next step that we have to reach, where we just either call them men's and women's, or you take the gender designation out of both of them. And it's just, if Britt wins the world title, like, obviously you know which one it is. But that's a discussion for another day.
But a good one to have.
But yes, the women wrestlers in AEW, like, it's great. Like, they're doing, and they're getting, I mean, they're not getting more. They still only get one match on Dynamite a week generally, but they're trying now. Like, they're putting more women in the match. They're like having a promo with them too. Like, they're getting more promos. They're doing something with the women's wrestlers that they weren't before. So good for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, just like on this show, if you count Jade and the Baddies, like, they got Jade and the Baddies is one whole group, and then you have the 6 women in this match. I mean, it's not 50-50 obviously by any means, but like you said, like, they had 2 segments, but they had like 9 people in it.
Yeah, they're getting better.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't even think at this point, like, the women's wrestling in AEW are great, but like, there are more men's wrestlers, so it would at this point, it's hard to do it 50-50. But they're doing better than they were before.
Yeah. And didn't you send me a link from Cage Side a couple weeks back now that Tony Khan applied for the trademark Women of Honor, like Ring of Honor used to?
Yeah, I think that, and also what was the other name? They applied for another women's name.
Oh, okay.
Like an AEW related women's name, but I think that might be like a reality show, not a wrestling show. But we'll see.
Because I used to love when Ring of Honor would do that, and they would just never announce it. I always thought it was cool too. It would just be like the people that bought the tickets to the show, like, it would just be a Women of Honor show, like,
right. And no one was bothered by that, because it was also going to be a good show. So yeah.
Exactly. And it was still TV, and then they would just run it like normal TV, and then the following week, like, they wouldn't explain it to you. It would just, like, all the other storylines would go back to the following week, and this week the Women of Honor week, it would just be all women, and the shows were bomb. Like, they were so good.
Yeah, AEW is getting there. They're getting
definitely.
They're getting to a point where this isn't a problem. Like, it used to be a problem. Like, why are there not more women's matches on Dynamite? And now there's still not more women's matches, but they're definitely doing more with them. They're definitely, like, they're getting somewhere, which is good.
Yeah.
And maybe they just needed more talent. Like, now they have, not to insult anyone who was there 2 years ago, but the wrestlers who are there now are much more experienced at wrestling on television than the roster they had a couple years ago. So,
and that's exactly what I was just going to say. A couple weeks ago, I was watching a YouTube video, and it was a wrestling podcast, and the one guy said the same thing that you just said. He was like, in the men's division, you have that healthy competition pretty much from day one. I mean, you had Cody Rhodes, you had Dustin Rhodes, you had, like, guys backstage like Dean Malenko, like,
right.
And not that they didn't have that for the women, but as far as talent went, you had, like, basically Britt, and everybody else was new. So it was like, okay, well,
and Britt was still new. She just stood out. She just stood out more. Yeah.
Right.
And, yeah, but now the people they've added, they can.
Yes, and as there's like different levels of people being good and experience levels now. So you could put somebody with, like, mid-level experience with somebody that's green. They're not all green, and somebody that's better.
Right. Like, I mean, even this match, like, clearly Jamie Hayter and Britt were the more experienced team. And then Ty Conti and Anna Jay, or Ty Mello and Anna Jay, were like the mid-level experienced team. And then Willow, you get Willow and Sky, who aren't that experienced at TV wrestling matches. So
right. And you have, I mean, it was like the perfect mix. It was a wonderful, wonderful match. But I have to throw this in there, because tornado tag matches have always bothered me, and I texted you about this.
Yeah, just the concept of them is not good. Like, I get why you're doing it, but the fact that you can tag any other team,
because, like, if me and you were a tag team and I was in the ring, I would, like, incapacitate my opponent, drag him in our corner, hurry up, have you tag him in, me hit the mat, have you pin me, and we win.
Right. Yeah, because you can tag anybody, right? The tagging anybody aspect of it is odd.
Yeah. So it's like
why would you ever tag not your partner? Right? Like,
yeah, like I don't care how desperate you are.
Right.
And that rule set always bothered me, but I mean, I get why they do it, but
yeah,
it makes no sense.
Do you think we're ever going to get women's tag titles?
Absolutely, and I think this match proved that they now have a women's tag division.
Yeah, because they have a lot of, I mean, they have the same problem that the men's division kind of has, is they have a lot of people who aren't going to win the world title. Right. And like, because Jade especially is the TBS champion, like there's a lot of people who aren't going to beat Jade, but they have to do something. So
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think this was testing the waters, and the crowd was hot. The crowd, of course, loves Jamie. Yeah, I think this was them, dipping their foot in the water and saying, hey, we could definitely have this division. And if I know Tony Khan, the belt's a priority made.
Yeah. And I don't think it'll happen like next week. I think it'll be, it'll be months from now at least. But I think they're starting to get there.
Yeah, like this is something they'll build up, maybe announce it like for 2023 at some point, like, like, hey, we're going to have a tournament or something. And so that, I mean, the other thing we have coming up, I was just thinking, the Owen tournament will probably be starting in March, right? Because it ended in May.
Yeah, it started after Revolution last year. So
okay.
Revolution's in March. So yeah.
So anyways, Britt and Jamie got the clean pin, which I was very surprised.
And I like that it was Britt though, because then now she has kind of a thing to hold over Jamie. Like, yeah, you have the title, but I won that match. So
yes. Oh, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to start out as this petty stuff, and it's just going to escalate and be incredible.
Yeah.
And again, as I said, Renee was all over the show.
I like how AEW does that when they have, like the announcement of Thunder Rosa, losing the title. It's clearly its announcement coming from Tony Khan, but they don't have Tony Khan come out and do it, and they don't have an authority figure come out and do it. They have like Tony Schiavone or Renee come out and do that, and that makes sense because they're the announce team. That's their job, is to convey what management wants to say.
Yeah, and like, I mean, we always say we watch sports. If Gary Bettman changed a rule in the NHL, like, he wouldn't show up at every arena and tell them that. Like, they would send out a memo, or like there'd be a little voice message or something, like
and then the announce team would explain it to you. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, just because Vince's ego was as big as the world and he needed to be on his own television show.
I really do think the like in the 90s it worked. Vince worked, Bischoff worked as like the authority figures. But we've seen so much now, like the authority figure coming out doing, like, I don't want to see it ever. I don't want Tony Khan to be like a character on the show. If he's on once in a while to make one announcement, fine.
Like how he came out and introduced Forbidden Door, like that was cool. He was on TV for 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. But that's the extent of Tony Khan I need to see on it. Not only like do I not want authority figures, he's not especially like good at that. Like
he's a horrible actor.
Yeah, he just ends up screaming. And
he gets overly excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do the same thing, so I'm not knocking him, but he's not a TV character.
Definitely not a TV character. Renee was backstage with FTR and Top Flight, which I love that. Like, I mean, I know Dante was like in the middle of a singles run of a lifetime, but I love that his brother's healthy and he's just like, I'm in the tag team now.
Yeah, like, I like it.
I love it. They actually Top Flight did challenge FTR for the Ring of Honor titles. I really hope Top Flight wins, but I don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening, but I would like that. FTR, as we've said before, they're in a weird spot. I think because they have all those titles, now they can't lose. Like, they don't want them to lose because they have all those belts. but they also don't want them to win the AEW titles. So it's weird.
Very.
But the match will be good.
Oh, the match will be phenomenal. What was I going to say? Oh, here, do you think that they turn Top Flight heel? That's what I was trying to get at. I'm sorry, I was reading.
I don't think they can. Like, people really like them, especially because Darius just came back from injury. I know AEW does seem to need more heels.
Yes,
but I don't know if they're the ones to turn heel.
I agree, because you can't turn FTR either, because FTR is just super over right now.
Yeah. And they do need more heels, especially tag team heels. Like, they basically have the Guns and like some lower card teams, but the main event level teams seem to be faces.
You did have Red Dragon.
Yes.
No longer have Red Dragon.
Right.
You got half a Red Dragon, so.
And not for a long time, because didn't he break his neck or like he had something?
He had neck surgery.
Yeah. So he's out for a while.
Yeah, a long while.
Yeah.
But that's on. Is that tomorrow afternoon?
I think it's on Rampage. Yeah.
Which also, reminder, people, if you're listening to this, Rampage is on at 4 o'clock.
It might already be over by the time you listen to this.
Might already be over by the time you listen to this. It's going to screw up my day of recovering, but I'm just going to eat a lot during it. The Acclaimed came out, which professional wrestling thing ever. You go to the ring to show a guy take his bandages off so you can scissor. It was a beautiful moment.
It's so many. First of all, how did he's pretty sure he broke his hand. How did his hand recover in like 3 weeks?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And second, this was point, like, they came to the ring. It's a wrestling thing, but like there's always teams or wrestlers come out for no reason. Like, why are you coming out? First of all, why are you coming out? Second of all, why is management allowing you to come out? Oh, what are you going to do? Oh, nothing. We have nothing planned. We just want to talk for a little bit.
It made zero sense. I mean, it was great.
But in wrestling, it makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like 100%. It made the most wrestling sense ever. Now, this part, again, I didn't understand the point of it, but for some reason, Sanjay Dutt, Jay Lethal, and Jeff Jarrett interrupted.
When this happened, I honestly think Jay Lethal has something in his contract where he has to be on every show. And like, they're like, all right, put him on the camera. He has to be. It's a rule. Because, it made, like, if they were on for like a minute.
Yeah. And I like, they talked the whole time, but I couldn't tell you one thing they said.
I don't know what they said.
Exactly. It seemed very pointless. But I'm pretty sure Jeff Jarrett is the final wink of the nod of CM Punk of the night. All right. Well, I mean, he said CM Punk's line, keep that guy's name out of your mouth. And that's what he told that reporter about Colt Cabana. That's how the segment ended. Did you notice?
I didn't notice that. No, I wasn't paying attention. I'll admit I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, Jeff Jarrett screamed it. Like, they said something like, he was telling like Sanjay to like, you hear a guy off screen say, Sanjay's wrap it up. And then Jeff Jarrett says, don't say, keep my friend's name out of your mouth.
All right.
Yeah, that's what. Sorry, I screwed up the line. But I was like, oh wow, that was real on the nose.
Yeah.
I mean, he just didn't say Colt Cabana.
Yeah.
And before I forget, the amazing Colt Cabana chant at the beginning of the show was amazing.
Yes.
Because again, if this was real, it showed the Chicago still loves Colt Cabana.
Yes.
Sorry, we should open with that. I just remembered. But yeah, like the Acclaim segment was just odd, hilarious, but odd.
Yeah, like the Acclaim's always entertaining, but like it seemed like they were like putting together the show, and they're like, okay, we didn't do anything with the Acclaimed, so let's just have them go out there and talk for a couple of minutes. Oh, Jay Lethal's not on. Okay, yeah, just put him on there too. Put him in that segment too.
Perfect sense. Yeah, it was just an awkward moment, but whatever. It's fun.
The Acclaimed is always fun. So
the Acclaim's always fun. And then,
but before we move on, I loved Billy Gunn taking the mic and saying "Scissor me, daddy ass," and then I think Tony Schiavone was like, "But he's daddy ass. Why is he saying scissor me, daddy? That's his name."
Yes, he's scissoring himself.
And Taz be like, he's referring to himself in the third person.
The announce team, it was like 4 seconds into the show, and you're like, "Oh, the announce team's been drinking."
Yeah, they started celebrating Thanksgiving a little bit early. I think they were a bit more off topic than usual. Tony Schiavone and Taz were just like talking about stuff. Like Excalibur was Excalibur, just being himself, and then Tony Schiavone and Taz were just like randomly bickering and like.
Kind of like me tonight, just saying.
Just talking about stuff like that's not really like Tony Schiavone going on and on about, but he's daddy ass.
Oh, it was wonderful. Ring of Honor World Championship. If you ever had any doubts about Chris Jericho being a tough guy, watch this match.
Great match.
Great match.
Jericho, and for all Jericho's flaws, and I mean many of his flaws are, outside of the ring.
Correct.
And the theory is basically he's the one. I don't know if you've heard this. He's the one telling all this, anti CM Punk stuff to the wrestling media. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard. But for all that stuff, wrestling wise, this has been a great year for Chris Jericho.
An unreal year. Like, we always joke that like Dax could be Wrestler of the Year. Like, literally Chris Jericho could be Wrestler of the Year, and I have no problem with it.
Yeah, which is a weird thing to say in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, this match with Ishii was, like I said, if you don't think Chris Jericho's a tough guy or never thought that he was, and you didn't watch this match because he literally got beat up on national television. For real. Bobby Cruz is your ring announcer, as they've been doing consistently with Ring of Honor matches, and Ian Riccaboni on commentary. Literally, the match just started with them slapping each other in the face. Literally, that's how it started.
It was a very like old school, like New Japan match.
Yes.
Where they just hit each other.
Yeah, that's all it was. They literally just stood in front of each other and hit each other for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Again, Chris Jericho is a beast, because he literally, his chest was a bloody mess.
I've never seen that happen. Where like we were both like, how did he start bleeding? Did he just get chopped until he bled? Like, I've never seen that. I've never seen that happen. I've seen people's chests be red before, but I've never seen them like not like a little bit of blood. It wasn't just like like a cut. I did see someone online say, I really hope that happened from a chop and not like Jericho quietly like took a razor and just sliced his chest.
No, I'm pretty sure it was a chop.
Pretty sure it was a chop, but that was a lot of blood. I've never seen that. Maybe it's happened in like a match, a Japanese match that I haven't watched, but Excalibur and Jon Moxley, I'm sure, know when that's happened, but I've never seen it.
Oh yeah, I've never seen it, and it was brutal. I mean,
I was legitimately shocked, being like, that's happened from a chop? Like, I thought like I missed something. Like, I looked down and I didn't see something. Like, yeah,
like imagine slapping somebody not only as hard as you can, but as hard as you can until you broke the blood vessels on the tops.
Like in their chest. Like, it's one thing if it's in like a guy's face, like your face bleeds more easily, but like your chest, your chest doesn't bleed that easily.
Yeah. And I mean, like Jericho probably feels like he has sunburn today.
Yeah.
But it was, he bled from chops. That's the kind of match it was. I mean, I don't have to tell you that it was a hard-hitting physical match. It was a great match. The crowd was on their feet the entire time. They earned their "This is awesome" chant. I will say that. I personally think it seemed a little rushed at the end, but other than that,
I think it might have been because the show was ending, so they had to wrap it up. But yeah,
That's like really my only complaint.
I love when he does the Lion Tamer instead of the Walls of Jericho. I love it.
So it's amazing. That's what I was just.
I know he stopped doing it because it's legitimately painful, but I like when he does it.
Yeah, and I mean,
the Walls of Jericho to me, like I get why it's supposed to hurt, but it doesn't seem like a finisher. Like I know that's been his finisher. Like you can make anything a finisher if you do it enough and it wins matches. But the walls that he does never seems like it's that painful of a move, and like it seems like you could just pull yourself to the ropes.
Yes,
but the Lion Tamer seems like it hurts, and I'm sure it does.
It looks like it hurts, and it looks like if you would move, it would hurt more.
Right.
So like trying to escape it just looks like it would make it more miserable for yourself.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Ishii was in it for about 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, give him credit. Obviously, he's a tough guy.
Yeah. I was really surprised it ended with a tap out, though.
As you said, that's a very Japanese ending. That's so it made perfect sense. The thing that I was surprised, I thought we were going to have Jericho grab the mic and tell everybody how great he is and how like the champions better be, you better watch your back, blah blah blah. Didn't have any of that.
Yeah, that was surprising. Maybe they ran out of time. I don't know.
Claudio came out and slapped Jericho to the ground, which I thought was really cool. But personally, would you rebook Claudio and Jericho already?
No, not real. Especially because Jericho's whole gimmick right now is beating every Ring of Honor champion, and he's already beat Claudio.
Yeah, so, like that's how
I know it wasn't. I know it wasn't clean. I know whatever, but it's a weird match to go to, given everything surrounding Jericho in the match. And I wouldn't have. I thought it was odd. I know they don't really have too many choices. Like what other Ring of Honor champions could he face that aren't suspended and have a arm injury? But
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Hold on, let's look up former. Now
it would be weird. It's also weird because it's going to be probably at the pay-per-view, the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, and it's a weird match to try to sell the pay-per-view on because we've seen it already.
Right.
And it's not like you could say, "Oh, this is Claudio," before you could sell it on like, "Oh, Claudio's never won a world title before, so this will be a big moment if you win." But like, he's already won this belt and lost it, and that wasn't that long ago. So it's a little weird. And he just had a match, the 4-way match, that he also competed for the title. Like, it's odd to have him be the challenger again.
Yeah.
But I guess I get they also don't have that many options. Like, it's not going to be Samoa Joe because he's involved in his own storylines.
You know what I just thought of? What if the whole, you know me when I'm going to say the word work here. What if the whole Jonathan Gresham thing was a work? And this was all planned for him getting mad at Tony Khan for not having any direction with the title. And that's why he walked out, and I'm making air quotes the whole time I say all this.
Yeah, I could see that, but I don't think Jonathan Gresham is like well known enough for anyone to really care that much. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like if Jonathan Gresham walked out as a surprise, I don't think he'd get that big of a reaction. Maybe I'm wrong.
See, hey, I'm not gonna.
I never watched the original Ring of Honor, so I don't know anything much about him.
Well, I was gonna say, like, that's the problem that we're. See, I'm thinking that Jonathan Gresham's bigger because I was able to watch Ring of Honor every week, and
right.
I mean, they were basically an East Coast company. So yeah, I never thought of that. Like, we are worldwide here now.
But he might, he would get a reaction from people who knew, because obviously they know who he is, first of all, and second of all, they know the backstage stuff with him and Tony Khan. So like that would get a surprise reaction.
Yeah, that would have been like, put him in your crowd or a Philly crowd if you're going to bring him back.
Yeah, I could see that.
They would know who. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know who else. Like, he's the next best option, I would think, because I can't think of anyone else who could have a match with Jericho for the title and seem like they could win the title. Because there's probably a lot of former, if you're going with all champions, including tag champions and other belts and stuff, like there's probably a lot of people you could book against Jericho, but how many of them actually could beat him? Like even when like Colt Cabana came back, like that was nice, but he wasn't going to win.
Exactly. I'm looking up the list of champions right now.
And like Adam Cole's injured, so it can't be Adam. I mean, it would be cool if it was Adam Cole, but I don't think
it'd be great.
I don't think he's going to come back anytime soon. And most of the other ones are retired or in WWE.
Yeah, let's see here. Okay.
Like it'd be cool if it was obviously cool if it was Cody or Kevin Steen, but that's not going to happen.
Bryan Danielson. I mean, there's Homicide. The person I forgot about the most, Nigel McGuinness. I mean, he just left or he just got fired by WWE.
Yeah, I just don't know if he can actually wrestle.
Right. That was Jerry Lynn's next on the list, but I don't think he can wrestle.
Right.
Austin Aries is in WWE, correct?
No, he left. He was an Impact or something. I think he got fired from a bunch of places. I think he had like a backstage problem.
Oh, okay. Well, he's on the list. I don't see him beating Jericho though.
Right.
Then you have Tyler Black. That's Seth Rollins. Okay, Roderick Strong, WWE 2. Eddie Edwards, Davey Richards are in TNA. Kevin Steen, obviously WWE. Jay Briscoe, probably not gonna wrestle in AEW. Then Adam Cole, obviously. Michael Elgin, which Jericho would. I mean, people don't even know who Michael Elgin is.
Right.
Jay Briscoe again. Jay Lethal, which Jericho beat him, correct?
Yeah, I was thinking, did he already do Jay Lethal?
I don't know. I can't remember.
That would be an option.
That would be an option.
If he hasn't already.
Another Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, but he's
injured.
He's injured. Christopher Daniels. That'd be a good match.
Yeah.
Well, obviously Cody in WWE. He already beat Dalton Castle. He could wrestle Matt Taven.
Yeah, okay. But he's not gonna win.
No, he's not gonna win. Oh, Roosh.
Did he already do Roosh? No, he didn't do Roosh yet.
I don't think he. No. Okay, he beat Bandito.
It's kind of bad that I also forget who he's already beaten.
Yes.
It shows that it hasn't done that much for any of this, but yeah.
And then Jonathan Grisham is next, and then Claudio and Jericho. So there's very few people on that list that, I mean, like you said, he can wrestle them, but number 5, CM Punk.
Yeah, I again, if Punk is coming back, like obviously everyone wants to see him in a feud with the Elite, but him taking the title from Jericho makes too much sense.
It makes way too much sense. Way too much.
And especially if he does have a problem with the Elite, like then they could be on separate brands and separate feuds and not have to really interact with each other that much. Because I mean, I can see him and the Elite not getting along, just based on their personalities, based on like everything about them. Like they may not get along, and that doesn't mean that they can't work together, but they may not get along. Yeah, like I totally believe that that's possible.
Yeah, look, they're going to get along in the fact of, hey, let's do a little thing, let's appease the fans, let's make a little bit of money, and then we're going to get on each other's nerves, and we'll go our separate ways for a little bit, and then
yeah, and they don't have to be friends, but I don't think they ever would be. But if they don't have to be. So
okay, let's see. I'm looking for,
because even if you go to other titles like tag titles or pure titles or whatever, like unless they have it be Daniel Garcia, he's a Ring of Honor champion. Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah, that all makes sense too. Yeah, see now, like I'm looking at the Ring of Honor TV champion.
Right.
Like half the people here are in WWE right now.
Right. So there's not that many. Like this angle can't go on forever. Really.
Hold on. There's a bunch of New Japan people here. Jericho just beat Ishii. there's Will Ospreay, which you give me Jericho versus Will Ospreay.
All right, that would be cool. Yeah, I'd take that.
Jericho versus Kenny King, I would take that. Jeff Cobb, I would take that.
Yeah, Jeff Cobb's done some stuff in an AEW.
Yeah, he's in Ring of Honor right now with what are they, Gates of Agony?
Right.
Dragon Lee. Man, there's a lot of Tony Deppen. He's in AEW right now. Oh, he can wrestle Dalton Castle again. Rhett Titus and Minoru. That's another person that could take.
All right.
Like share the ring with Jericho, but
right.
Yeah, Jericho can have a regular match with these people, which would be fine and be entertaining, but all those people that I named, like, yes, they're good and everything, but they're not going to win.
Yeah, like even the Ishii match he just had, like, he wasn't going to lose that match.
Yeah, we knew where that was going. It
was a good match, great match, but
great match. Yeah. But I mean, as you said, it kind of has to be Punk. Has to be.
That would make the most sense. Like, that would make too much sense.
Yeah, because I mean, he's beaten Danielson already. Which you would think naturally it would be Danielson to beat him. Like, that'd be a great match. I mean, but again, Punk likes his history, and we said just in our recap show, there's never been Punk Jericho could have headlined WrestleMania.
Yeah, and Punk coming back to like save ROH from Jericho would work really well.
Wow, that's all I'm saying. Just wow. It's like I said on the recap show, and now we got a little more insight into how we think the inner workings of this is working. Now, we don't know anything about this Ring of Honor deal, but if you're sitting in a business meeting and I'm trying to sell you something, and I tell you that two of the most popular wrestlers in the past 20 years work for my company, and one of them's been in the news lately because a lot of people think all this stuff's real, and some of it might be, some of it might not be. I don't know. But I could have both those guys in a ring tomorrow if you need it. You know, like, you just say that and you're like, huh?
Like, I'm obviously a fan of CM Punk. Like, I really like CM Punk as a wrestler. I if he's actually gone, like whether he goes to WWE or retires, or like assuming he's actually gone from AEW, like the fact that none of these things happened would be a big shame. The fact that he never got a match with Kenny Omega, the fact that he never got to fight in Ring of Honor again, the fact it would be very disappointing if just for like as a wrestling fan for me that
100%.
None of this could have happened. Like, I want to see CM Punk and Kenny Omega, even without the feud, even with, like, if they had no story with each other whatsoever, I just want to see the match. So if it doesn't happen, especially now because they're kind of hinting at it, like, it'd be really, really disappointing if none of this happens.
Oh yeah. Now, when do you think we get a return? Like, are we thinking this year, 2022?
No, I mean, he is legitimately injured, right? So
yeah, I mean, even to just come back on TV.
Yeah, because I mean, he's been doing commentary in UFC, right? So he's at least not UFC, but whatever
right
MMA commentary he's doing. So he's at least not, he's healthy enough to like put on decent clothes and like go out and be on TV for a while. And like he's not in like constant pain that he can't like spend an hour on so he can. Yeah, I don't know. I would love for him to come back at like Winter is Coming or the California show or like anything, but I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, as we were recording this, I thought of the whole Winter is Coming thing, but I don't know. I mean, obviously, like, you're on a slippery slope. Like, you want to let this play out for as long as possible, but wrestling fans nowadays also have like the attention span of, I mean, that's why TikTok exists. Like, it's your attention span's not there. So if you let it go too long, like, if you might lose some of your audience being like, well, the dude hasn't been here in like 9 months. Why do I care about it?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
I realize every time we talk about this stuff, like, I really do think he'll be back, but I realize every time we talk about this stuff, this had been like, if we had this podcast at the beginning of the year, we would have had 3 podcasts about how Cody's a work, and he's definitely coming back to AEW. And there's no way he goes to W. Why would he ever do that? Like, we definitely would have had, several weeks of podcasts of that. So I always
100%.
Feel like I'll take anything. I mean, it's me, so I'll take anything I say with like a giant grain of salt, because I don't actually know. I don't actually know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, this is 100% opinion based. And yes. Yeah, we have no knowledge whatsoever.
And we could sound like total, like in a month from now, we could sound like total marks when he shows up at the Royal Rumble, and like,
right. Yeah. Hey, I mean, I told you I was prepared to die on this hill. I'll still die on this hill. I mean, I went down in a blaze of glory with on the Gargano.
And I will say, we try not to talk about WWE too much, not because we don't like it. That's just not what this podcast is.
Right.
But I've saw some stuff that like, oh, he might come back to WWE. We've all heard that. And I also saw simultaneous rumors that, Stone Cold, that they might have another match with Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania. And I heard people saying like, I wouldn't even want to see him face Stone Cold. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I don't pay money for WWE pay-per-views, but if they had Stone Cold Steve Austin versus, I would pay money. Like, and I don't even like their shows, but I would pay money to watch that show. So that's insane to say that you don't.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things that CM Punk could do right now that anybody, like Tony Khan is, even if you think he's an ineffectual leader, like maybe he is, we don't know. I've never seen him backstage.
Exactly. We don't work there.
But how you cannot see all the things that he could potentially do, and how much money that could make you, and how much it could make for WWE if you just like let him go there.
Right.
Like, I don't see how you don't try to work this out, even if the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho and Hangman, even if they can't stand him, none of them are dumb, right? So like, I don't know. I feel like it has to work out. And maybe that's just me being like a mark for all of this, but I don't know. I feel like it has to work out.
One way or another, it's going to. Like, we say all the time, they all like money.
Right.
And that's what this is.
This thinking of like, oh, he's burned so many bridges. No company's ever going to want to work with. Again, he didn't kill a guy. He didn't
Right.
He got in a backstage fight. The number of backstage fights that happens, especially in wrestling, like wrestling is an ego-driven, like carny-based game, right? Yeah. So like, I'm sure there's been backstage fights in WWE that we just haven't heard about. I'm sure there's been backstage fights in AEW we haven't heard about. I'm sure all kinds of. I'm sure people have cursed out Tony Khan and Triple H and Vince McMahon, and like, we just didn't hear about any of that stuff. So to say like, oh, he's burned so many bridges, he'll never be back. Not even WWE would want him. Like, that's insane. Maybe he doesn't want to go there. Sure. Maybe he doesn't want to work at AEW. Maybe he's done with wrestling and has no interest in being in it anymore. Totally possible. But to say that you wouldn't be interested to watch him come back wherever he comes back is ludicrous in my eyes.
I agree. Just look at, if they would have put Punk on, and I hate to say this because it's kind of me talking down on Rampage, but Punk's debut was on Rampage. Their Friday night show, which you can call it a B show if you want. I don't think it is, but it's a horrible time slot.
Right.
And they had to get it because the building was open. And if that would have been on a Dynamite, I bet you the rating would have set a record for them, because they drew over 1 million on a Friday night at 10 o'clock in August.
And Rampage was new. That was like the second episode of Rampage or something. Like, it wasn't even a established show at that point.
Yeah, Rampage was, So, imagine that.
So I get that there are people who hate CM Punk right now and don't want him around and think he's like whatever. Fine. But there's people who hate every wrestler, right? Like, so like, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, and like the people who hate him are like a large percentage of the audience, and they actually wouldn't care if he came back. But even if you don't like him, wouldn't you watch the show?
Right.
Like, you would watch it just to see what's going on, right? Like Vince McMahon, for all his wrongs, and there's a lot of them. But when all this stuff came out, and then he was like, I'm going to be on SmackDown. Like, people watch SmackDown. Like, he's the jerk, and he's done way worse things than CM Punk has ever done. And people still wanted to see him every week. So I don't know.
And those idiots, I'll call them idiots because they ain't listening to this podcast. They cheered him right off into the damn sunset.
Right.
So, but I mean, there you go.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Anyways,
I don't want to dwell on this too much, but like, I really hope he comes back, because there's so many things that could happen if he comes back. So,
and they're all good, and they're all gold, and they all will be. And
I'm just gonna keep my CM Punk shrine here and just talk to it every day and hope that it happens.
Talk to it every day. Yeah. Hey, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. Do you have anything to add, or?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
You think this turkey's cooked?
I'm AEW's been great recently, and they're having a strong finish to the year. I really want to see what happens with MJF on Dynamite. I really want to see what happens with this feud. I don't think it's gonna be a long feud with Ricky Starks, but there will be like a couple weeks feud with Ricky Starks.
Yeah, it'll be a good little feud.
So I want to see what happens there. The Keith Lee Swerve stuff is great. The Elite are always entertaining. So even if there is no CM Punk anymore, like, the Elite are always entertaining. And I want to see what they do with Death Triangle. Like, the Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter stuff is great. Like, what's Saraya going to do next? Like, there's so much good stuff going on right now.
Yeah. It's just, it's a heck of a time to be a fan of AEW. I mean, the 2023 is lining up to be a heck of a year. And I think me and you have talked about it. I think we're going to try to do a year preview show, like what we think is going to happen.
Yeah, like a predictions type
show. Yeah, preview. What, geez. Anyways,
we know exactly what's going to happen, so we're going to just tell you.
Yes. Yeah, 1,000%.
Yes,
we know what's going to happen. But yeah, it'll be
Johnny Gargano will face Cody in the main event of Dynamite.
Yes, man.
Because they're both AEW wrestlers, because we knew about that.
Yeah, 100%. There's been so much that we've been wrong about this year. Which is like, dude, it's getting weird here. Like, we're 6 months away. We're 6 months in. Like, that's nuts. That's nuts. We're like on the second half of, we're going to be 1 year old already. Unreal.
Yes, and people are continuing to listen, and
people are continuing to listen.
So thank you to anyone who's listening, and especially if you make it to like the 2 hour point of a podcast. And that's not a knock against you or the podcast. Like, there's a lot of podcasts that I listen to the first bit of and don't make it to the end of, just because I don't. So if you're still here, let us know.
Thank you. Yeah.
Send us a message on one of the many social media platforms that you made it this far, because that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. And speaking of social media platforms, we have a website, and it shows you where we are. We are everywhere, by the way, so you can find us if you just Google us. But we have a website. It is, I'm going to get this wrong, but I think it's elitecitypod@wordpress.com.
If it's .wordpress.com.
Not at. Everyone knows it. Yeah, that's not how the internet works. I'm just used to adding everything.
Yes.
And it has all our links to all the social medias, and you can find me and Rick on social media also. Say hello. Join the conversation. We've been having a lot of good conversations on the Discord.
Yes.
The Discord has been really fun lately.
So let us know if you want on there, because we have to send you an invite. Send us a message somewhere else, and we'll invite you.
And we'll invite you, and we'll come join the conversation, because they're fun. And if you do you have anything else, or?
No, I'm good. I talked way too much as per usual. So.
Hey, that's what Thanksgiving's about. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. It's been a fun one. Next week is gonna be a heck of a week. It's a heck of a time to be a fan. So get you covered for next week. So this was the week that was. So thank you very much, and until next week, later.